So now I'd like to get the symposium going and introduce our keynote speaker and co-founder of AAWAA, Flo. Flo is an artist, a poet, and educator. A late bloomer, she started her visual art career at the age of 40 and her poetry career at the age of 75.
Yeah.
You. As an artist, she has received 3 NEA awards for her artwork while working in San Francisco with Kearny Street Workshop, Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Center, Luggage Store Gallery, Chinese Historical Society of America, Chinese Culture Center, and the San Francisco Public Library. In the South Bay, she's exhibited at the UFRAP Museum, De Anza College, and at the Triton Museum in Santa Clara. In 1996, she was accepted as artist in residence at the Headland Center for the Arts. In 2000, she appeared in the national television program NewsHour with Jim Lehrer. In 2003, she was featured in the KQED Spark television program. She was a visiting artist at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and other colleges and universities. In 2014, she collaborated with musician Marcus Shelby to create AAWAA, the musical tribute to her husband, Edward K. Wong, who grew up in Augusta, Georgia during segregation. She was the first Asian American woman artist to be appointed to the board of the National Women's Caucus for the Arts. And she's exhibited her work in local, regional, and international venues, including Oakland Museum, Flomenhoff Gallery, and at the Ellis Island Museum in New York, the Angel Island Immigration Station, the Art Embassy program in Copenhagen, Denmark, and the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. In 2018, she published her first book of art and poetry, Dreaming of Glistening Pomelos, at the age of 80. She's currently working on a sexual trauma book, I Don't Cry Anymore, which she and her co-editors will publish in 2020. Writings and images of her work are published in many books and publications. She reads her poetry at public programs. So let's give a welcome to Flo.
I'm not driving, so I don't come out to events, and I'm just so happy to be here. Oh, so good to be here. Your energy is wonderful. Even in fire, pearls do not burn. And like the pearl, we are here and persistent in our pursuit as Asian American women artists, unafraid to tackle anything that might limit us. Pearls and Fire Program Statement 2019. Good afternoon. I am Flo Wong, co-founder of the Asian American Women Artists Association, AAWAA, with Berkeley-based artist Betty Cano. I am an artist, poet, and educator. Thanks to Susie Kadami for inviting me to give today's keynote speech. I am honored. Thank you for coming to celebrate 30 years of AAWAA's presence at the Contemporary American Table of Art and Culture. We, the Asian American women visual artists, videographers, filmmakers, literary and performing artists belong at this table. Who belongs at this table? We, the Asian American women visual artists, videographers, filmmakers, literary and performing artists belong at the American Table of Art and Culture. The AAWAA statement I shared at the beginning aptly describes what I learned after I attended my first National Women's Caucus for Art NWCA conference in San Francisco in 1989. I was truly excited to attend the conference where I ran into art world reality. Asian American women artists had minuscule representation. During a breakout session, I attended a panel where African American women artists and white women artists spoke. During the questions and answers segment, I asked, why isn't there anyone who looks like me on the panel? Why wasn't a representative of my community invited to speak? The panel organizer answered, I don't know any Asian American women artists. I appreciated her candid reply, but read my lips. I was not satisfied. With my discontent stirring, I was also unaware that I would soon tackle the eventual co-founding of AAWAA. My keynote address will talk about the historic beginning of AAWAA in 1989. I will speak about 4 women: Moira Ross, former professor of art history at Mills College in Oakland; Betty Cano, Berkeley-based artist; Bernice Bing, an abstract expressionist painter and the first director of the San Francisco South of Market Culture Center, and myself. There is a backstory to AAWAA's founding. It was a project proposal from Moira Roth to the NWCA to create a nationwide slide registry of women artists of color that led to AAWAA's inception a month after the conference closed. I first spotted Moira at the conference when she was preparing for a panel presentation. I introduced myself. She said hello. A warm greeting reinforced by her charismatic smile. "Why don't I have your slides in my slide wheel?" she asked. I was taken aback. As an emerging artist, no one had asked me that question before. It came at a time when the art world was not too inclusive, at least not for contemporary Asian American women artists. A few days after the conference ended, and at Moira's invitation, I attended a meeting with other women artists of color in a hotel room. Moira needed help. She asked us to gather slides of art images from our respective communities towards the creation of an NWCA-sponsored packet of art from women artists of color. The collection would eventually then become a part of Moira's proposal. It would have been a first time ever slide packet of its kind in the history of the organization. The art would be curated by women art historians selected from the diverse communities. If and when created, the slide packet would then be available for sale nationwide to art historians at colleges and universities for their use in their classrooms. I left that meeting with a charge to gather slides from Asian American women artists. Margot Machida and the late Karen Higa would later select the Asian American women artists and their slides. I wondered how I was going to carry out my responsibility. Betty Cano at that time was acquainted with Asian American artists. I reached out to her, explaining Moira's proposal. Betty then generously shared her database. Each of us sent out letters inviting Asian American women artists to an eat, meet, greet event at Betty's house in Berkeley. Participating artists were invited to bring slides of their work along with potluck food contribution to share. The call for slides was enthusiastically received. In March, we held our first meeting, a joyous first as an emerging art community. Moira was in touch with the late Bernice Bing, an abstract expressionist painter who resided in Philo, and a friend of Jay DeFeo, a Beat Generation artist. Moira invited Bernice to attend our second meeting in 1989. 5 of us, Moira, Betty, Bernice Bing, Keenan Kum, and I gathered at Keenan's studio on Harrison Street in Oakland. There I met Bernice, who eventually became a treasured AAWAA member and a dear friend. For Bernice, she was once again coming in contact with her Chinese American heritage, which was severed while being raised in Oakland, Chinatown by her grandmother, the one who told Bernice that she had artistic talent. That evening in Keenan's kitchen, Bernice said to me, "Charles Strong at Notre Dame College told me that there will be a Chinese American exhibit traveling to China. I'm submitting my slides." At that time, I was working with the now defunct San Jose-based Asian Heritage Council in collaboration with the Santa Clara-based Triton Museum to take a contemporary exhibit of Chinese artists to China. I replied, "I am the project director of that exhibit." From that moment on, Bernice and I chatted and shared until the end of the evening. Bernice joined AAWAA. For the following 9 years before her passing, Bernice generously offered practical advice on how AAWAA could enter the contemporary art world in San Francisco and in the Oakland Bay area. To attend future AAWAA meetings, she drove her clunker gas guzzling car to the East Bay. sometimes staying overnight with my husband and me in Sunnyvale. Bernice happily organized the first AAWAA retreat in Philo, where she maintained a studio in her residence. There was a second retreat in 1996. In the meantime, at Mills College, Moira introduced her students to the works of women of color artists. She had worked on Hanson's comprehensive art anthology, discovering the exclusion of women artists from that reference book. To fill that gap, Moira started exposing her students to the art of African American women artists. When that project was completed, she asked, "Where's the Asian American women?" Her next art history curriculum focused on us, Asian American women artists. Her students started studying the art of Bernice Bing, Betty Cano, myself, and others. Moira and Diane Tani, a San Francisco artist and photographer, then started Visibility Press to publish catalogs about little-known artists, including Bernice and me. To assist the nascent AAWAA, she opened the Mills College Slide Library to house our initial slide collection. As an infant organization, we presented programs there. Her students wrote essays and created videos of Asian American women artists for their class project. An early AAWAA meeting took place at Mills. At a later time, we met at the Oakland Chinatown-based East Bay Local Development Corporation. It was a time when Kim Ano gave me advice to move our fledgling organization forward. As AAWAA expanded in the early 1990s, I served as the first Asian American woman artist on the board of the National Women's Caucus for Art. I immediately noted the lack of information about Asian American women artists. I was disturbed, disappointed. I then decided to nominate Bernice Bing for a Lifetime Achievement Award. Although the NWCA was founded 19 years earlier in 1972, it had never honored an Asian American woman with the organization's most prestigious award. My first two nominations for Bernice were ignored, totally. Finally, following my third try, after Moira verified that Bernice was worthy of the award, did my third nomination attempt go through. I had the honor of presenting Bernice at the 1996 NWCA conference for her amazing body of abstract expressionist paintings, her grassroots art leadership in San Francisco, her travels to China where she studied calligraphy and gave lectures about abstract expressionist artists. In the 1970s, when San Francisco Chinatown had a period of violence, Bernice collected guns from the younger members of the Wachings, a Chinese-American, Japanese-American secret society. In return, she gave them art lessons. Can you imagine? She traded pastels and paint for their weapons. Earlier in 1990, Bernice had received her first award from the now defunct Asian Heritage Council based in San Jose. This particular South Bay art nonprofit, in collaboration with the Santa Clara-based Triton Museum, planned to travel and show 6 artists, completing the circle, to the People's Republic of China. That exhibit, which included Bernice, was never exhibited because of the Tiananmen Massacre in 1989. Following Bernice's passing in 1998, a committee of AAWAA members, Moira Roth, Lenore Chim, Ken Ano, I, and others, was formed to advocate for her work. Thanks to this committee's early efforts, Lenore Chim's exemplary record-keeping, and the work of Jen Banta, who is not a member of AAWAA, the Sonoma Valley of Art is currently exhibiting Bingo, the life and art of Bernice Bing. AAWAA's growth went through many cycles as different leaders like Dawn Nakanishi, Nancy Ham, Cynthia Tom, and Sherry DeBoer shepherded the organization in its growth. Resilience reigned. AAWAA shows offered the general public opportunity to view the beauty and substance of Asian American women artist creation. Mark Johnson, Gallery Director at San Francisco State, Jan Rindfleisch, Past Director of the UFRAT Museum at De Anza College, Diana Argerbright-Kurt, Director of the UFRAT, and other progressive white art historians included works of AAWAA members in exhibits and programs. Glass ceilings cracked slowly. The smashing of glass ceilings allowed rich AAWAA programs like A Place of Her Own, Cheers to Muses, the Emerging Curators Program, exhibits such as They Hold Up Half the Sky, the Speakers Bureau, The World of Bernice Bing Film, and Generations of Hope Mural to become a part of the contemporary American art dialogue. The collective impact of AAWAA subsequently developed, supported, and nurtured voices of resilience and change in multiple discourses. It is still happening today. The works of Asian American women creators are now included in multiple anthologies and other publications like Women Artists of the West. But is that enough? In 2007, AAWAA became a 501c3, a nonprofit organization thanks to the efforts of Debbie Gee and Nancy Ham. As a nonprofit, AAWAA serves notice that Asian American women artists are worthy of grants and support. Documentation of AAWAA's activities came and still come from the magical camera lens of Lenore Chin, Reiko Fuji, Bob Sang, and others. I salute and applaud the development of AAWAA's voices and creations, visual art, video film, literary and performing arts. To dedicated leaders like Cynthia Tom and Sherry DeBoer, the first executive director, Susan Kagami, the new AAWAA president, Michelle Lim, and the stalwart Melanie Avena, whose combined passion continues to shepherd AAWAA, which now includes South Asian women artists like Pallavi Sharma, who teaches at California College of Art, through 30 years of presence. To them, and the younger and newer members like Diana Lee, I say Udev. Thank you in my parents' native Khoisan dialect. Inhale this thought. Asian American women artists are not afraid to tackle anything that might limit us. To be an AAWAA member is to be a pearl in the fire. Oh, by the way, Moira's 1989 proposal was not accepted by the National Women's Caucus for Art. At a later time, the women artists of color within the organization finally created a slide packet of women artists of color with the financial support of Revlon. Thanks to the efforts of the late Eleanor Merritt, an African-American artist based in Sarasota, Florida, for seeing Moira's 1989 proposal to fruition. I offer gratitudes that Moira asked me to gather slides from Asian American women artists, that I said yes, and that Betty Cano said yes. In closing, I offer these words: continue to make art passionately. Believe in AAWAA. Advance the visibility and recognition of Asian American in the arts. To Michelle, may you lead AAWAA to greater heights. May AAWAA sit firmly at the table of contemporary American art and culture. To all of you here today, be a pearl in the fire.